Hello everyone, welcome to another edition of Inside Asian Gaming's Trade Talk. My name is Ben Blaschke, Managing Editor of Inside Asian Gaming, and I'm very pleased today to welcome our guest for today's Trade Talk, a man that needs no introduction, a man who has literally and figuratively shaped the integrated resort world around the globe. Mr. Paul Steelman, how are you?
Hi Ben, thanks for having me today. I've been great, and you?
Yeah, well, I think we're all in the same boat, aren't we? We're just gradually getting back to normal and hoping things improve over the next year. So, I know that you're in the same boat in Vegas there.
Absolutely. Vegas, of course, has fortunately experienced some resurgence in the last couple of months. So we're very bullish on the possibilities of what's going to happen in Vegas and consequently soon thereafter around the world.
Absolutely. Well, I could ask you 1,000 questions, I'm sure, Paul, but I won't ask you that many. But let's get into a bit of a look at how COVID has affected the industry, and particularly from your viewpoint. As we know, it's been a year of enormous disruption. How has COVID impacted IR development around the world?
Well, obviously, at first it stopped a few of our projects, stopped them cold. Then they all kind of return to normal because, face it, when you're building a project, you better keep on building it, or wow, the costs are just unbelievable. It's delayed some of our newer projects, and I think, but at the end of the day, I think our projects will be larger, more diverse, and I think the things that have happened because of COVID will also create more of a digital gaming space and digital integration into the buildings that will change the buildings drastically.
Yeah, I'm interested to sort of look at how COVID will impact in that way. But first of all, Paul, I'm sure everybody knows exactly who you are, but can you give us a bit of a rundown of some of the main projects that Steelman Partners is currently working on, particularly across Asia?
Well, we have a large amount of offices in Macau, in Zhuhai, in Ho Chi Minh City, and Phnom Penh, Cambodia. We're the architects for most of the Naga projects, and we're asking me some questions, I'm sure, about Naga 3, one of the most exciting projects on our roster. We have one new project in Macau. We are working on other projects in Asia. We were the interior designers and have done some of the architectural work for the Korean Inspire project. So we're very excited about that one as well. But we think that the Asian projects will be picking up now, especially in Vietnam and a few other locations that will create a more diversified, unique market that we hopefully will be designing some buildings to fit into.
As you mentioned before, Paul, the COVID pandemic has created changes to the industry. In terms of designing integrated resorts and casinos, is there a need to adjust the requirements of design based on what's happened with the pandemic?
Well, we think the temporary issues, the plastic barriers, the masks, the social distancing, removing buffets from the word buffet from anything. I think all that will go away. I think we were well on the way to designing touchless features in casinos anyway, from touchless hotel registration and entry to sports betting to integrating the casino experience with your phone. And we've been big proponents of that. And as a matter of fact, we're such proponents of that in our little gaming company. We've actually designed a touchless blackjack table with a live dealer that actually uses your phone and your digital wallet. It's a pretty interesting concept. But we think there's a lot of things that will advance in this because of the COVID that will make these buildings more digitally organized than ever before, a lot quicker than they would have been if we didn't have the COVID.
So really, as you say, some of these effects of COVID will be long lasting and, I guess, as you say, progress progress things that we've been pushing for a number of years now to make them move faster.
That's correct. That's correct. We will do that.
So, Paul, as we talk about various jurisdictions around Asia and the many places that your company does some very good work. I mean, one that's in its infancy is, of course, Japan. We've seen over the past few years talk of investments in Japan of exceeding US $10 billion. I think some of those numbers have been pulled back in a little bit thanks to COVID. Once the dust is settled on this pandemic, I mean, what do you expect to see from Japan's first IRs?
Well, it's interesting. Everybody is crazy about Japan. And we've worked on 5 different projects in 5 different locations for different clients. As you know, I am a believer in what's called the integrated connected resort. I think one of the greatest group of resorts in the world is Fremont Street. They are connected. It is an outside-inside experience. Unfortunately, in Japan, they won't have that. These are going to be large integrated resorts, such as Singapore, that are going to be spread throughout the different communities or different cities. We think that Japan is cool because it has a lot of tech. And we think that tech could be very smartly organized into the projects. But when I hear the numbers $10 billion, 2x what Marina Bay Sands spent, I shake at that. I think that that's an outrageous amount of money to spend on something that we do. I mean, Stan Fulton once told me, the developer of the Wheel of Fortune slot machine, he told me, Paul, we earn our money 25 cents at a time. Well, there'd be a lot of 25 cents to make $10 billion, that's for sure. Without junkets, without potentially internet gaming, without sports wagering, because it exists there, and thousands of pachinko machines, which resemble slot machines, no matter what anybody says. I'm just a dumb architect, but that number doesn't seem to make sense to me. We have been working on properties in Japan, taking advantage of the digital connections, taking advantage of a self-driving car, taking advantage of spreading our facilities out further with more attractions within them. We have been trying to do this on several of the projects that we've been working on.
So, I mean, you're talking about being quite technologically advanced. That's probably no surprise for Japan, as you say. What about from a broader design perspective? What do you think that Japan's integrated resorts, what features might they have? What might they look like in terms of this combination of East and West?
Ben, that's a pretty interesting question. I think at the end of the day, I think Macau has taught us a lot about casino design. I mean, and the relationship of what we consider excitement in the West and what Asians consider exciting, what Asians will in fact participate in on a regular basis. And it's very hard to say how we're going to fit into the Japanese culture, but we do know one thing about Japan, as we know about Vietnam, as we knew about Macau in 2004 when we did the Sands. Everybody wants Las Vegas. So we are not designing a resort that in fact takes into consideration beautiful Japanese cherry blossom trees or makes people feel like it's a Japanese style resort. True, we have to be architects. We have to be sympathetic to the environment, sympathetic to our surroundings. But at the end of the day, we all want to build Las Vegas. And I think the relationship of the people, Las Vegas, and the creation of these new resorts in Japan could lead to some very, very interesting solutions, design solutions. And one of the things that we have tried to work on is when we talk about a term that John Redmond, the former MGM president and president of the Star in Australia at one time, now Allegiant Airlines, he talked about the integrated connected resort. How can we connect this resort to so many of the attractions, so many of the transportation systems that exist in Japan? And that's what we wanted to do. But we designed a gorgeous series of resorts in Nagasaki, and you know, we did some estimates that we would attract 15 million visitors per year, but unfortunately we were denied continuance into the RFP because the group, the ownership group, which is vast and large, didn't show the financial capacity to in fact do this project at such an early stage. It seemed to me that you know, that logic was not great, to be honest with you. If I was Japan, I would be trying to explore these tremendous attractions. And you know, I'm not sure the world needs another casino or another slot machine, but the world needs integrated resorts for adults to have adult entertainment on a regular basis and have it to be a tremendous attraction for tourism. That's what we try to do. Tremendous attraction for tourism, whether it be local tourism, but more than likely, there's millions of people who want to see Japan and millions of people who want to participate in it. And if our resorts there could in fact do that, that's our goal. That's really our goal. So it's a complicated question. We love some of the sites. And of course, I love the country. I love to ski there. I'm so upset Hokkaido isn't going to allow a resort, because I could spend some time in Hokkaido, that's for sure.
Definitely. I mean, Paul, you've spoken before about, and I guess you're referencing that right now, that the need for, you know, IR development and city planning to go hand in hand. So are you seeing that not happening in Japan?
Well, I do see it happening in Japan. Unfortunately, what I've been told, the land cost is extreme, and the infrastructure costs, they're expecting some of these IRR operators to pitch in, is extreme. Of course, nobody ever sees that. No guest ever sees the land cost or the IR or the, you know, extending a subway or something of this nature. You know, city planning to me, you know, I study it every single day in Las Vegas, and the relationship of our strip resorts and our downtown resorts. And you know, one of the things that I believe in wholeheartedly is this Tesla tunnel that we're building. This tunnel is just incredible. What Elon Musk has done here in Las Vegas, together with Stephen Hill, the Las Vegas Convention Authority. Wow, it's just amazing. It's a breathtaking thing to think that you're going to get in a Tesla car, beautiful Tesla car, and for $10 or whatever it's going to be, whatever the cost is, I've never been told. But for a cost, you know, you're going to go to the airport to the Venetian in 2 minutes. You're going to say, hey, I want to go downtown for dinner. Downtown in 2 minutes, 5 minutes. It's a freeway underground. It's not a subway system. It's a freeway. So you're in that car. It starts where it picks you up, and it doesn't stop until it gets to where you're going. Our beautiful new convention center is just an absolute jewel of what city planning does and what a group of people can do when they come together. You know, that's what is a fantastic thing. That's quite frankly what's never happened in Atlantic City. Nobody's ever really gotten together and saying, how do we plan the city to connect all of these casinos together in an entertainment sort of way, other than getting in your car, parking, paying $15 to park, driving down Pacific Avenue, going to another casino. That's not what these things are all about. So in Japan, we hope that we have some great connections to things. We hope that we have great transportation, because our studies have indicated that transportation makes up 75% of your decision in going to a casino, especially in a competitive zone like Las Vegas. So that's why we build the biggest, brightest parking garages, because a lot of people know that. So that's one of the things.
Well, I probably should ask you then, if you're talking about the importance of connectivity, is your thoughts on the candidate locations in Japan. Obviously, we have two large metropolitan areas in Yokohama and Osaka, but also we have Nagasaki in Sasebo City. Some people feel it should be in Fukuoka, and then we've got, of course, Wakayama as well. What are your thoughts on those particular locations as candidates?
Well, I think Wakayama has tremendous potential, to be honest with you. I kind of look at it as the Miami Beach of Tokyo. That's what I kind of look at it. True, it's not Miami Beach weather, but in today's world, we could create Miami Beach weather without too much trouble. So I kind of look at it like that. I think that's a really great location. And Nagasaki is far away from the city, so it would need a ferry service or something like Macau. The site is a very long and narrow one. I think it's next to a kind of what we would consider a failed theme park, but I think in recent times it has, through some investment, has gotten better. The relationship of the theme park and the casino, I don't think was that great. But, I was disappointed that we couldn't continue with that project with the developer because I thought we offered a unique solution in Nagasaki. Yokohama, interesting site, filled with controversy, at least the sketches we've done for people. Once again, not necessarily in the best neighborhood, but it definitely could be. Osaka, the sketches we've done on this island for somebody, wow, it's a gigantic piece of property. I mean, way too big. And, it would, if you looked at the master plan, it would probably be something along the lines of a 20 or 30-year master plan to create all the entertainment devices and everything that would catch on to the integrated, hook on to the integrated resort. So, but Osaka has a lot to offer as far as the city goes. There's no doubt about that. So I think many of the cities have a lot. They have good transportation, they have convention centers, they have art districts, but they don't have, it's funny, they don't really have the high-tech convention centers, the tech centers, or they don't have hybrid digital studios for meetings and things of this nature. These are the things, they don't have the Tesla tunnel. These are the things that they're going to need to really put into to Japan. And of course, they have the technology, and they have the wherewithal, and they have the smarts to do all that stuff. So we'd love to see it connected. Just another room with a bunch of slot machines. I hope we don't get that, but we'll see.
When you talked about what you were doing in Nagasaki before, Paul, who were you working with in Nagasaki at that time, if you're able to say?
Yeah, sure. It's announced. I was working with Pixel, Pixel. Yes. That's who I was working with.
Right. So I should ask you too, Paul. I mean, you did mention Resorts World Las Vegas a moment ago, and of course that's opening very shortly. It's the first major IR development on the Strip for quite some time, but pretty spectacular. What can you tell us about what that experience will be like for guests?
Well, it's a very secretive opening. They just issued their first TV commercial, which is fabulous, yesterday. So I can't really say too much about it, but I could say a couple things. I mean, we started a project in 2012. That's 9 years ago, and we had our announcement in 2013, March 2013. KT Lim was coming to Las Vegas. It was one of the greatest days in Las Vegas history when KT Lim decided to build a project here. We had the groundbreaking in 2015, and of course the project has been through many developments as it has been fine-tuned and designed to be the sort of the next generation of Strip casino. I think we are super lucky here to have KT and his sons here, Yui and Louie. I mean, they are absolutely talented guys that have the most imagination, the most creativity. They are not afraid of anything. I mean, the Genting Skyworlds Park that's going to be opening in Malaysia, I think it's open now or will open shortly. I mean, that's a labor of love for KT Lim. Las Vegas is so happy. The governor is happy that that we have him here. And I think he will get his fair share of Asian business. I think I think to have Hilton come back into Las Vegas is a fabulous thing. That's where the king performed. That's where Elvis performed. So maybe Elvis will show up again. I don't know. They would like to. But we're more than pleased to have it. We're very happy that we've done designed the project, and we're anxiously awaiting its opening at the end of June, and it's July 4th weekend here in America. So we're anxious for that. We have several other projects in Las Vegas that are on the drawing boards. We have a non-gaming hotel that's directly across from our convention center. It offers a unique approach to the meetings business, and the Majestic Resort it's called. And we have another resort on the old Riviera site. We have a resort on Paradise, and all of these things are being designed now on the basis of some of the success that Circa has experienced. Circa has experienced a lot of success. The first new casino that was downtown into over 40 years. And we really do feel that that connection, that downtown connection, we recommend that to a lot of people. We think it's a good thing. In Clark Air Force Base, we recommended something like that, places like that. So,
in terms of your developments in Asia, Paul, I mean, I can't ask you about all of them. There's too many to count, but there is one I do want to ask you about, of course, Naga 3. No doubt Naga 2 was a game changer for NagaCorp. Naga 3, of course, that takes everything to a whole new level, $3.5 billion development. Very excited, I can tell when you spoke before about what's going to happen there.
Well, Dr. Chen and his amazing operations team and his super amazing construction team, Casey Chow, he has his own rules for design, and they're very unique. They feature escapism, small spaces, proper scale, dynamic lighting, customer convenience, much, much more. And Dr. Chen has a very global view, which we love, on Cambodian tourism. I mean, he loves that Naga is connected to Angkor Wat and the Mekong River. Many of our meetings that we have with Dr. Chen are overlooking the convergence of those two grand rivers in Phnom Penh. Who would ever thunk $3.5 billion project in Phnom Penh 10 years ago? Everybody would have said, yeah, you're crazy. But I think you have to look at tourism in general. Dr. Chen wants to increase tourism in general to Cambodia. And really, to be honest with you, Ben, I know you've been there, but it's got to be on everybody's bucket list to take a vacation to Cambodia. We were joined on this project with Skidmore and Merrill, one of America's greatest architects, who actually gave a little fresh perspective on this large city project. And we will continue to design the project for Dr. Chen meticulously, curating every single space over the next 2 years while the project is being built. I think everybody for Naga 3 will be very, very surprised at the quality of exciting dynamic spaces and the attractions within this beautiful building. It's going to have a 10 or 11 story podium that's filled for restaurants, attractions, different things. And of course, each of them curated by Dr. Chen himself. And we are very pleased to be working with him and on this project as well.
It's interesting, Paul, that when you speak of Dr. Chen, I mean, I was going to ask you about when you take on a project like this, what sort of remit you have to, how much of your own scope do you have to implement your own ideas, or how hands-on is Dr. Chen in telling you what he wants exactly?
Well, Dr. Chen accepts ideas and then considers them closely, as most of the great casino mavericks have. I mean, all of them understand that they need to have the correct casinos aren't about copying the next guy. It's about coming up with the next thing. So that's what we do with Dr. Chen. That's what we do with KT Lim. That's what we do with Dirk Stevens. That's what we want to do with Bill Hornbuckle at MGM. We come up with the next thing. And that's a joint effort between us all. And we offer suggestions, we offer sketches, we offer 3Ds, we offer a way to visualize it. If not, it gives some sort of method or procedure to move forward with whatever that design might be. I learned that from Steve Wynn when I worked for him for 10 years. I was the subject of his wrath many times. And I always realized that you can suggest almost any design idea to these great mavericks of the casino industry, and they will put it in their mind and determine if it in fact is a money-making sort of facility. Face it, these are buildings for commerce. These aren't buildings for beauty. These are buildings for commerce. So that's one of the things we always want to remember, focus on, Ben: commerce, money. What does it cost? Build it for as little as possible, earn as much as possible. If you have that gap, you're going to be successful, like we were with the Sands in Macau. I mean, we built it for $181 million. In year two, it made $500 million in EBITDA. So, I mean, it's a big gap. So it was the basis of what is now a $60 billion company.
I do have a question related to Steve Wynn's legacy around for the last question I'm going to ask you. Just before I do that, we know that NagaCorp, you mentioned Angkor Wat before. There was obviously an announcement by NagaCorp of a non-gaming development that the company would like to develop near there. Of course, that initial plan, the government has displayed some hesitancy around. So, Paul, I mean, I know that Tim McNally has said that the company will revisit its plans for Angkor Wat, but is still keen to do something there. What can NagaCorp do there? What are you looking at that you think can, satisfy the government's expectations?
Well, I think it's the governor, at least from what I read, it's the government and UNESCO. It was the keeper of the beautiful monument. Obviously, this is a great project to enhance the offerings around this great monument. I know that Dr. Chen is concerned, very, very concerned, if this project would have any negative effect on the region. And to be honest with you, he will do everything possible to prevent that, following any particular government guidelines or UNESCO guidelines that we are offered. The project is we hope that we can build some modern attractions to complement what I consider is the world's greatest historic monument. I was, once again, Ben, I was happy that we were working on this project so I could visit the monument 3 or 4 times a year. We obviously, Dr. Chen wants to do what the government and UNESCO wants of him. And once we find that out, then we will continue with the project or not. But it never had a casino in it. It's not a casino. It's a project that is designed to be environmentally sensitive to the region and to be within. I think the tallest building is 12 meters tall. So I mean, it's like designing a building in the middle of London or something.
Just before I let you go, Paul, I mean, we talk about the great visionaries of our industry. Steve Wynn, as you mentioned before, was one of them. Sheldon Adelson, of course, another. When you look around the industry today, do you see anyone else that you think has a similar, unique, groundbreaking vision for what they're trying to create?
I do. I definitely see people that have groundbreaking vision that will lead us into the next 50 years of gambling. I mean, the group Brad Stone and Bill Widener and Gary Saunders are together. I think they offer a very unique perspective on any project that they wish to develop wherever it is in the world. And I think that they are definitely future thinkers. I think Dirk Stevens proved at Circa that he is a future thinker. I mean, the things that are in Circa, I mean, the pool is fabulous. It holds 4,000 people for a 700-room hotel. It is a money maker. It is a new revenue source. It is every single day on Instagram 1,000 times. So, I mean, the bars, the sports book, the sports betting, the transportation center, the integration of Uber. Someday we'll integrate Uber, elevate the flying Ubers into our programs as well. But I think that Derek has been a true innovator and has really, taken downtown from maybe 15 or 16 million tourists to probably next year, this year, 25 million tourists to being the home of, iHeartRadio and all sorts of attractions. And Fremont Street is just better and better and better. I think Francis Louis at Galaxy, I think, is just an extreme visionary, has done an absolutely fabulous job. We've loved working for him in the past. KT Lim, as I mentioned, at Genting, has been an innovator all his life since he started with his father many, many years ago at Genting Islands, and offers a unique perspective on the integration of these resorts and what attractions, what tandem-based activities can be created. And I think the Bill Hornbuckle, Joey Levin, Barry Dillard team that we have now at MGM, I can't wait to see what they have up in store, because the Barry Dillard, Joey Levin get together with a 30-plus year casino guy like Bill Hornbuckle, have these great series of products, a great name, and so on. Wow. I mean, I think things will really start to percolate there as well. We will see a vastly different MGM in a year from now. I think that. So, and there are others. The Inspired team, headed by Richard Lindsay, now is with our Inspired Greece project, is once again an innovator in the field, and we're anxious to see their first project in Asia. I think it'll be an interesting thing to build the biggest integrated resort in Korea. So,
yeah, well, I mean, as we know, can't travel at the moment, but there's plenty of places for people like myself looking forward to seeing once they're completed in the coming years. So
I hope I hope we're all traveling by July.
Yeah,
I hope we're all traveling by July. So
yeah. Well, Paul, thanks for joining us. As I said, I do look forward to eventually returning to Vegas in particular. Probably not this year from where I am, but certainly hopefully by next year. And Paul, thanks for joining us today. It's been great to talk to you.
thank you, Ben. All the best, and have a happy Memorial Day, which you don't have, and a happy July 4th, which you also don't have. But anyway, so thank you very much. All right.
Bye-bye. Thanks, Paul.